With the Advantech subfloor assembly, you can be sure that you're building a reputation on something stronger. And the best builders, well, they may always stand apart, but they never stand alone. So ask yourself, are you bringing your A game?
Hey everybody, welcome back. So, video 2. Today we're going to be talking about some of the elevations and the refinement process, as well as the tools that an architect uses through the meetings. We're going to talk about massing models and all of that good stuff, and some important key concepts to architectural theory like order, scale, hierarchy, partie. We're going to come back and talk about that. Of course, Big Red's going to join us. So without further ado, let's dive in. All right, so I compiled a number of images here so we can have a quick chat about the refinement process and how we got from kind of point A to point Z. You know, architecture is not one of these things where you walk up to the site and all of a sudden this vision pops in your head and you say, okay, this is the house we're going to build. You go back, you draw it up. It's not like that. There's a series of decisions that get made along the way, and we're going to talk about a number of those here. But there's also a series of tools like any profession or job or trade or craft has. And one of the tools that an architect has, we have this program, it's called SketchUp. SketchUp is nothing more than a 3D rendering modeling program that is very intuitive. So I want to say I've been using it for, I don't know, probably close to 20 years maybe. And one of the first adopters of it when it first came out. And it has really kind of revolutionized the speed at which we can think and make decisions and look at alternatives, etc. But anyways, let's dive into some of these images. Of course, got my friend Big Red here. The first couple images we want to talk to are these first two up here, 1 and 2. So these are nothing more than massing models. And in a massing model, you'll notice there's no windows, there's no railings, no people, no landscape, nothing. All I'm trying to achieve in this massing model is when I have that initial idea of a floor plan and a basic idea of the shape and some dimensions that, you know, they're still going to push and pull, because the purpose of the massing model is twofold. One, it's to show me the 3D representation of the idea at that point in time. But two, it's to identify areas of concern and areas that need further refinement or thought. That if roofs collided or just made for some bad corners, bad areas, are there things that we can do that enhance the project and retain that cohesive, connected nature to the partie? So anyways, the first two you can see here, these are just simple massing models. Like I said, there's no windows in any of the walls, but you do see from our partie, you have that large mass here that is actually attached to the ground. And then we have that kind of mid area that we talked about. And so this is that solid, the mid, and then we have that airy section, right? And that's true, if we go back to that first video, to our partie, right? Partie is nothing more than the idea by which we refine and make decisions. This here is just another view. The beauty of SketchUp is I get to have a God's eye view. So I can orbit around the building, spin it in any direction, zoom in, zoom out. But it just helps me identify all the different areas, again, of concern and of, let's call them areas of joy that, hey, that looks really good. As you can see down below, we move into these where we have images 3, 4, 5, and 6. You can see here, these actually have some windows in them. They also have some shading and they have some trees sprinkled about, and that's to give the building a little bit more life. So as we're showing these to the clients, you know, they like this stuff when they see it in 3D, but this doesn't have enough information to necessarily start looking like their house. It's looking like a building, but not their house, their home. And so when we start doing this stuff, then you get to see, okay, when I talk about big windows looking down the hill, you get to see that. You get to see that light, airy nature of the rail system out on that deck. You get to see that nice, solid nature of the big box at the end of the house and how things work off of that. How on the back side, how that owner's suite works. And the shadows, the trees, the windows, all of those things, and even people, putting people in the drawing is very important in that it helps identify the scale of the building. So let's talk about a couple of architectural terms. So scale. Scale is nothing more than the world's relative size to my body, right? If something is twice as tall as me, then it's a larger scale than I am. If it's half the size of me, then it's a smaller scale. So when I walk into a room that is 12-foot ceilings, it is a large scale room because it's twice my size. I can't touch the ceiling. But if I walked in or crawled into a room that was 6 foot tall and I had to crunch down, then I would say that that's a smaller scale than me because it's smaller than I am. So that's the difference between scale and, say, size, right? Size is the relative nature of a component to another component, like the size of this window relative to this wall that it's in, right? You could also talk about that scale, but scale is really interpreted as relative to me as a person. The other thing about these drawings is that we start to develop things like hierarchy. And hierarchy is nothing more than a term of kind of what are the important things? Like when I drive up, what do I want to see? Like this kind of stands out to me, right? Nice big window. It's punched out. You can see here and here. It also has this negative space, which plays off nicely with the solid space there. So you kind of get this 50-50 split of negative space and positive space. And the last word we're going to talk about here is order, right? Sense of order. And again, that's getting back to that solid, the mid here, and then the airy, right? In that we have that sense of order that this building is being designed by, and that all relates back to this partie. So the partie is nothing more than kind of our series of checks and balances. Everything goes back to that and says, hey, am I upholding the original idea? So these were, again, some of those images that are used in the design process. And then lastly, I did a little film strip here. You can see the beauty of SketchUp is at any point in time, I can take this white model and simply apply a texture and a color to it. So this and that are virtually the same model, except that these have been colorized, or I've turned on that drawing style or that illustrative style in SketchUp to reveal the texture and color. And the beauty of it is you can see, blue, red, green, green with natural wood, green with gray, dark black, light gray. It's very easy to sit here where I can compile maybe, 10, 20 images of different color scenarios where we look at the color of windows versus siding, et cetera, and we get to play with that. So, the beauty of SketchUp, and that's all part of the process, but we're not going to go down through this film strip and look at it until we understand that this is correct, and then we can move into here. But I don't know if you realized it, but one thing I will bring to your attention is notice in these drawings, which look like they're further along, they actually have a flat roof on that lower section. And here, notice it's a sloped roof with a flat roof here and sloped roof here opposite. And you can see that that's evident here too, right? So what had happened along in the design process, this was originally thought of as a flat roof here that had that big cantilever. But as we moved through the design, I went back and did a quick massing model, and kind of, part of what design is, a lot of what ifs. So what if that flat roof was actually a sloped roof? What implications would that have? So I went back, did a quick study model and a massing model, and realized, okay, that is, I think, a better solution than the flat roof here. So we nixed the flat roof, we went with the sloped roof, and then we went through the design process and looked at a series of colors. But that's a quick walk through kind of the schematic design phase. We're going to get into all aspects of the design and development of this building. So that's it for the schematic elevations.